Hello, class. My name is Mauricio Flores, and today I'm going to be talking about the company that me, Jose Gaspar, and Frank Feliciano chose for our presentation, and that is going to be Apple. Our presentation is called The Improvement of the Product Focus Strategy, and this is for MAN4504. Now, Apple has become a groundbreaking and innovative company with sleek and intricate designs with minimalistic properties that a lot of companies really strive for nowadays. And it has become a gargantuan part of society. And it is also integral for our daily routines, like myself. I utilize their products probably for a big part of my day. I'm always on front of the screen using an Apple product. It has become such an integral part of our routines that it has become a necessity, which is the reason why it has become so successful. Let's continue. In front of me are a lot of Apple products. You know, their origins are extremely intriguing just because they've really come a far way when we look at the innovation and intricate designs that are placed. And not only are they minimalistic, but they're very simple. But also, they've also gone up in price a lot. When you look at the iPhone cost, it used to be $99. Now there's people doing 3-year payment plans for them. So the prices have definitely gone up. I would say for the Mac and Mac Pro, they haven't gone up too much, but they're still very, very expensive in comparison to how they used to be. And even the iPod, which is not really a thing anymore, it's been discontinued just because it's literally everything you do in there just in an app now. But it has really come a long way. I remember utilizing this product when I was really, really young. I was using my brother's iPod, to listen to music and stuff, and I would listen to like the same stuff over and over again because I couldn't buy every song I wanted to hear. But now it has become such a big part of my life. I'm on Apple Music every day. It is my most used app without a doubt. And even though I do pay like $5 a month for it, I'm definitely using it. It's really a bang for your buck, honestly, just because for $5 you have an extensive, pretty much unlimited library to whatever music is put out and released by the artist. But it has really come a long way with how innovative everything has become. It's crazy because even when you look at these types of inventions right now, you don't really think much of it because we don't really use iPods anymore. We don't. I mean, personally, I don't use an iPod because the Apple Music app is just in my phone, and I can also text with my phone and do homework and make money and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like back then, it was extremely groundbreaking, extremely innovative, and it has really come a long way. But for me, it's just something that feels like it just came and went. But at the same time, it has definitely impacted a lot of people's lives, including my own. I remember using it back when I was like in elementary school, and it has definitely come a long way. The product focused strategy. The group's goal is to improve the fundamental process strategy known as the product focused strategy, which is excellent for producing large quantities of goods using facilities, machinery, and manual labor. Many establishments, including fast food chains, warehouses, and restaurants, use product focused processes effectively. Even so, productivity from manual labor can only be sustained so long as there's no incentives while maintaining product production volume and timing at a standard level that satisfies output targets. For this reason, it's critical to invest in workers' well being to maintain a positive workplace culture. Now, you can't really have product work focus strategy without a positive workplace within where the employees are at all the time. Just because when no one's happy to work there, work can't really be done. Nowadays a lot of people look for more than just a paycheck, even though that's how it was old fashioned. Where it's like, oh, just work to get paid. People want to grow somewhere. People want to be somewhere where the workplace culture is great, and sometimes you can't really find that, and that it's very what's it's like there are a lot of ramifications for just being somewhere where you don't feel like you're gonna grow, you feel like you're stuck, and it's just very detrimental to the mental health of the workers. Now, with the improvements that can be made, as previously observed, the product focused strategy process is limited to meeting output and volume standards. While equipment significantly impacts production levels, we will concentrate on implementing goals and incentives that workers can look forward to maintaining high standards and volume. We must also identify the best machinery and equipment to benefit the business and its employees and, and maintain or increase productivity. The product focused strategy emphasizes how important it is to balance technology and manual labor to maximize production. Incentives and employee centric goals are essential for cultivating a positive work culture beyond reaching output targets. Additionally, the thoughtful selection of the state of the art equipment boosts output while guaranteeing worker safety and well being. By harmonizing human labor and technological efficiency, this dual strategy seeks to steer the business towards long term success and growth. Now, when we look at the improvements that can be made, no matter how perfect the workplace is, you can always add more to it. There's always a lot of improvements that can be made. There's a lot of different strategies to utilize. But as when everything is up to date, everything's simple for the workers to utilize. The operations will run smoothly. Now, let's look at a problem. The product focus on strategy lacks improvements in customization. Apple is a topic of discussion on how their use of a product focused strategy has caused them to lack customization for the public audience and the audience of consumers in the market over the years. With the introduction of customization, there will be a need for solution to the cause of implementing a customization process that will affect the production of products. Now, Apple is not a perfect company. There are a lot of issues with it. There's always people coming in and complaining about their phones not working. There's always something about the phone that's just not like computing. Just because it's an older phone. Apple did get in trouble a while ago because they were purposely um, hurting the older phones that people were forced to buy new ones, even though there's nothing wrong with the phone in the first place. So Apple definitely has a lot of cracks within their strategies, but again, it's highly successful. Just because they didn't do everything right in the beginning doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad company. It's still learning something every day. It's still changing, and at the end of the day, the ones who started Apple, it is not AI, it is not robots, it's not technology. It is purely human. Take measurements of lost productivity. Loss of time or productivity will also include making sure that everything is in place when it comes to storage, which affects inventory management. The need for an efficient inventory system. Time or productivity will not only be lost, but will also need for the time of production to be increased if employees aren't trained to the new standards of this generation. Now, productivity within the workplace is extremely important just because products can't be pushed, products can't be improved, products can't even be created whatsoever if there's a lot of loss of time or productivity, because there's nothing more valuable than time. You can't buy time, you can't borrow time, you can't stop time, you can't go back in time, you can't go in the future, you can't prevent time from being lost if the right um, actions are not taken. Time is the most valuable thing on this planet, and it is extremely important to use your whatever time you have when you're creating these products or even any business that you're a part of. Possible solutions. The possible solutions to prevent the loss and minimizing the effects that customization would bring. New employee training, advanced inventory management system, a reliable manufacturing system, and an improved amount of automation and compensation packages. Now, these things are extremely important just because it's always good to have incentives within the workplace, due to the fact that if you're just coming into work, and it's mundane every day, there's nothing new, you know, with employees, you want to keep them happy. You want to do things. You want to, take them out for dinner once in a while. take them out for lunch once in a while, and just talk to them. Like don't be so robotic. Don't be so, oh, I'm just at work. I don't feel like talking to nobody, because at the end of the day, you're spending 8 or however many hours of your day at work. You'll be spending most of your days at work, which is a sad reality that a lot of us have to face. But you're spending so much time at work that it's going to be an integral part of your life, and you just have to learn to live with it. And a lot of people like to just hop jobs, which is understandable, but at the same time, it's like, when you're at a place where you're going to be short staffed and one person leaves, like these types of things you really need to take in consideration. Because I've worked for companies that have so many people working that if one person, like, if 10 people called out, the show would still go on. And I've also worked at places where if I don't show up, it causes a huge disruption. So it's really important for whatever place you're managing at, make sure your employees are happy, which is extremely important. Now, this is a chart of the forecast customization impact. When you look at the production time, when you look at the supply management, order processing, quality control, and training, you see the training is just way too low. It needs to go up. A lot of companies focus too much on their products. They focus a lot on what they're gonna sell, but when the training, the percentage of the impact of customization when it's just low, and the quality control is also the same as the order processing. Something just needs to be changed is due to the fact that companies need to care more about how human they are. Even though we are moving towards a digital age where everything might just turn into AI, even us, you still got to keep them happy. You don't want a high turnover rate. And then we look at the Apple strategy chart. Employee morale is at 50%. Equipment effectiveness is at around 30. Production volume is around 20. Now, this is where it gets a little shaky just because, yes, while employee morale is very important, there needs to be a balance of employee morale, equipment effectiveness, and production volume. Um, while yes, the productivity levels are great for the human portion, everything should be a balance. Everything should be equaled out, because you can't have something that's too high without having something that's too low, because it's just going to lead to mayhem. Now, to conclude this presentation, this is the implementation of someone ordering something at Apple, and it is actually very, very interesting, just due to the fact that there's actually a lot that goes into ordering something at Apple, and it's something that employees should be going through just because they should have an idea of what the customers are going to. And it is going to be order placed. This is when the person has placed the order, and you know they're really happy that a order has just been placed. They're they might order something more in the future, but this is where the beginning is really important, and everything needs to be done so that the customer is willing to come back and spend more money. Order received by Apple. Now, this is actually really important because if you don't get the order, you're never gonna know if they're gonna get the order back. It's something that needs to be done. It needs, like, all these things need to be placed. This is why Apple pays so many people to have all these certain things. That's because they have all their info on there. Data and resources gathered. This is extremely important. Like I said earlier, not every company, not everyone could be an accountant, so everyone has to put on their own, their role and do what needs to be done. And I also did skip step 2, which is employee trained. If an employee is not trained, whatever procedure that the customer is going to want, it's just not going to happen because the employee is not trained. Also, for step 4, data and resources gathered. Like I said, you know, before the product is going to be created, before everything is going to be finalized, the order needs to be placed correctly. Product manufactured. This is extremely important is due to the fact that the company needs to know how to make the product, how to make it to the person's liking. Because if you're spending all this money creating something that someone is not gonna like, it's a no go. Testing. Now, testing, this is extremely important. Almost everything in life is a test. You pass the test, you fail the test, you see if what works or doesn't work. Everything is literally a test, and it's just like that at Apple. Quality control checks. Now, this is where it gets a little shaky, just because you have a great product and does all these great things, that doesn't mean the quality is gonna be like that for everybody. Because you have to do a quality control check. You got to get the numbers, you got to get the stats, and you got to make sure everything is sent perfectly, because you don't want any faults or cracks. Because with a company like Apple, yes, it is human for these type of mistakes to fall through the cracks. But when someone orders an iPhone, the iPhone better be in a mint condition where it's actually working. Product assembly and packaging. Packaging is one of the most important things in sales, because people buy stuff just because the packaging is nice. If an Apple iPhone came in a brown bag, no one would buy that. The packaging for the iPhone is so sleek. People keep their boxes that they get. Everything is placed so pristinely, so beautifully, that it makes people want to keep buying their stuff. If everything just comes in a brown, black bag, whatever, people are not going to purchase anything. Labeling and branding. Like I said, when you package these things, they have to be packaged or organized neatly, but with the correct branding and labeling. If you buy an Apple product and it says Apple but it's missing the letter E, that's just not good. Like, yes, the person's still gonna have their iPhone and live the rest of their life, whatever, but it's still not a good look. You always want to keep a good impression no matter what. And storage, or strategy, excuse me. Strategy is extremely important, because yes, you just did a whole lot of great events, but if you don't have a strategy, it's not going to be done again and again and again. Just because you get something done, really good, like the job's not done. You got to strive for more. You got to get a strategy. You got to make sure you're doing this all the time, making sure no mistakes are falling through the cracks. Product ready for shipment. Oh boy, this is very important. Just because when a product is ready for shipment, that means it's ready to go. It's ready to go to the buyer. And let's not forget, people are spending a lot of money on products from Apple, because they expect the A class, the data that they're getting, the intricacy of the infrastructure that they're paying for. Like myself, when I buy and order an Apple product, everything got to be done good. Shipped. The product is now shipped. This is an extremely, extremely urgent part of the procedure, just because if something is shipped and it doesn't get to the person, it could be very problematic. It could lead to a lot of issues. It could even lead to a lawsuit. You would the buyer would have to call all these different companies. But in reality, these things do happen. Personally, it's never happened to me. When I order something, I get it. But a lot of people, they get their packages stolen. It gets lost in transit. The person, forgot to put it in the truck, whatever. There are a lot of underlying factors that can cause something like this. But at the end of the day, once Apple does their part, the shipping companies, that's going to be on their part. Now, for the big finale, product delivered. Once the product is delivered and all the steps are done greatly, it's smooth sailing from there. You just repeat the cycle. And this is the implementation that Apple is going to be putting into every order. And best believe they're getting multiple orders every day. On just an unfathomable amount of orders. And there's a lot that goes into the procedures of working at Apple, the employee training, the products. But at the end of the day, as long as productivity is at a high percentage, everything else great will follow. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening.